WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Friday. Work week's just about in the rearview mirror. Maybe it is in the rearview mirror for some of you. If that's the case, cheers. Not for me. I got 2 hours with you, so we'll make them as good as we possibly can here. Got Casey Gaines and Alondra Villarreal back there on the ones and twos. And we got a lot of baseball to talk here on this Friday show. Of course, we're going to react to last night's game preview tonight between LSU and Georgia. Buzzy Heidel help us out with that coming up at 1:30. I told you yesterday there's going to be Chris Blair and Bill Franquez on the call for the network, which I just assumed because that's always the case on the road. But somehow Buzzy boondoggled his way to the coolest town in the SEC, Athens. So we'll catch up with Buzz. I'm certain he had a tea time this morning. There's just no way Buzzy did not play. I don't think he'd get over to Augusta to get on, but I'm sure he played this morning. We'll get check in with Buzz here in 30 minutes. Caught up on everything that went on in the SEC last night. I'll be quite honest, this is about my favorite time of year. After LSU won last night, I flipped over to TCU and Kansas State for RPI points that LSU was trying to get, and Kansas State walked the game off and moved well inside the top 50, so that was good. And then I watched Mississippi State and Texas A&M as well and enjoyed all of the results from last night. So a lot of fun after LSU put it to bed, and I guess that's where we'll start. I'll be honest, I struggled this morning in putting together my thoughts about last night's win. There are just so many different things to talk about. Y'all know I'm a big picture guy in baseball. I don't really care that they lost that game in March. What's the big picture tell me about what's going to happen in June? And we're really close to the big picture not mattering at all. It's not a big picture thing. It's what did you do this game? Did you win? I don't care if you played like trash. Did you win? I don't care if you played great. Did you win? We're not quite there. There are still some big picture things to look at, but there was also some that wasn't great last night. It was just a lot. So in putting together my thoughts in talking about this game, I finally went with, I'm not going to go with like a lead or the most important thing. I'm just going to go chronologically what we saw last night between LSU and Georgia as the Tigers got that 8-5 win. It starts with Paul Skeens, who was once again fantastic last night. The pitch count through 4 innings was 41. He was missing bats. He got some early ground ball contact. He was sensational early in the game. Now, Georgia did work him a little bit in the 5th. You saw the double. Obviously drove the ball out of the ballpark on a hanger, and that happens. But he kept his pitch count low, and once again, he completed 7 innings of great work for LSU. His last 3 outings, he's gone 7 1/3, 7 and 7. That's on the heels of 3 consecutive 6-inning outings from the big right-hander. So he is pitching better, in my opinion, than he was a month ago, and that's a great, great sign. He was awesome, and LSU got the win behind him, which is obviously a very, very important thing. I thought LSU, conversely, drove the pitch count up on Jarvis Evans early. Now, Evans doesn't really have a put-away pitch. We mentioned it yesterday. He's got the 87-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a pretty bad breaking ball. Last night, I don't want to use hyperbole. That was as poorly as I've seen an SEC starting pitcher try to throw a breaking ball in my life. I have never seen a guy with less command of what he was trying to do spinning the baseball than what I saw last night from Jarvis Evans. And the color announcer, he's a Georgia guy, was going, probably shouldn't throw that pitch anymore. Doesn't really have feel for it. And he continued, and he struck Trey Morgan out on one that was terrible. But that was one that the catcher could catch. Most of them were over the catcher's head. He did have a decent changeup, which he got Cruz on once, and that was a pitch he went to a lot. But he didn't have a put-away pitch. LSU fouled some pitches off. They got on base. Joe Barry hit the long home run. They pushed the pitch count up big time and got into Georgia's pen early, which may really help them today and tomorrow. We'll see. But I thought that was really, really good to get Jarvis Evans' pitch count to 92 in 3 2/3 innings of work. Hayden Travinski at this point is a revelation. We do preseason prognostications. We analyze this roster left and right. We tell you every single possibility. I don't even know that I mentioned Hayden Travinski in preseason. And you try to cover yourself every single year. I tell the story of who was the 2009 team's DH on opening night. They won the national championship. They were first place in the preseason, ranked first in the preseason. They won the national championship. You know the players. You could go around the diamond with Gibbs and Ochinko and Shemp and LeMahieu and Nola. You know the whole team. Who was the DH on opening night? Well, it was Chad Jones. He was the DH opening night. So we know that things happen throughout the course of a 56-game season. I did not see Hayden Travinski coming in the least. And now they can't take him out of the lineup. He's protecting Tommy White. A guy we didn't talk about at all is sitting right there behind Cruz and White, expected to do damage when teams pitch around. That's nuts to me. And he was great again last night. Jordan Thompson's found a little power, which is probably going to make him a few bucks in a couple of months. He's got great range at short. He's got a huge arm. He's got to clean things up consistently. He's been a decent contact hitter in his 3 years in college, but there wasn't a lot of power. He's shown a little bit of power now. Hit 2 home runs last night. He's got 11 on the year now. That's been great to see. And then you get to Thatcher Hurd. This is a complex outing from Thatcher Hurd because what he did last night was, in totality, really good. You tell me Thatcher Hurd's going to go out there and don't tell me the situation is he's going to pitch against Georgia in a game. He's going to go 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, only 1 walk and 5 strikeouts. He's going to throw 71 pitches. I'd go, that looks pretty good. And at the end of the day, last night, that was good. Just a bad 9th inning. He gave up 2 homers. That's bad. I was sitting at my house last night on the couch watching the game, and when that leadoff hitter from Georgia, the little 6th-year left-handed guy who's about to go to medical school, pumped one off the scoreboard off Thatcher Hurd, I literally noticed myself. I'm sitting there going, oh, my God, I'm sweating. I'm so mad. I was literally sitting on my couch sweating at the result of that. But to his credit, Thatcher Hurd bowed up after that and got outs. And finally, when he got that last punch out, he showed that emotion, that fire, that confidence. That's what I saw from him in the Butler start. And maybe he turned a bit of a corner last night. His 71st pitch of the game was an 88-mile-an-hour slider or cutter. It was an 88-mile-an-hour ball that moved to the glove side. His fastball was still humming last night. The stuff was good, and he threw strikes. That was a tight strike zone. In fact, I think Riley Cooper got squeezed on the walk that he issued. That TrackMan strike zone, y'all, is squeezing these umpires. And I'm having to condition myself after 30 years of watching baseball to understand that what I'm looking at and what my expectation is. It was a tight strike zone last night, which, to LSU's credit, they only issued 3 walks in 12 innings. But in totality, Thatcher Hurd's outing was good. It was a bad ninth inning. Neither one of the home run pitches was very good. Now, you've got to throw strikes because the zone is tight, but I think big picture, it was positive. It's tough to feel positive when you have a 2-run lead going to the 9th and you don't hold it because that's Hurd's job. Now, yesterday I predicted a Dylan Cruz breakout. You probably heard it. So, look, he's going to bust out. Does last night count? Just because he hit a homer? Does that count as a bust out? Or because he came up to bat in the biggest spot in the game and took called strike 3, and then you look up at the end of the game and he's gone 2 for 7 with 3 strikeouts. Does that count as a breakout? I'm not going to give myself full credit for that one yet. But let's go to that spot in the game where Cruz comes up, bases loaded. You're in a tie game, 1 out. And you've got Cruz and White coming up. You can't do any better than that. There were 2 aspects to Cruz's at bat that I want to talk about. One, they had just walked 2 guys in a row and Morgan on 4 pitches, and then they went 2-0 to Dylan Cruz there with the bases loaded. I think he got the take signal there. Can't promise. I think he got the take signal. But he took a fastball right down the chute. And then he worked to 3-2, and then they threw the breaking ball on the outside corner, strike 3. So let's talk about those 2 pitches. One, the 2-0 fastball right down the chute. I don't know if he got the take signal or not. I think he probably did. I'm never giving Dylan Cruz a take signal, especially in that spot. I'm willing to let, even though he hasn't been Superman the last 3 weeks, that guy in a dead red fastball count where a run might win me the game, swing the bat. 3-0, I'll take one. 2-0, I'm firing away. And I don't know what the sign was, but I'm swinging away there. And Cruz took it, and then he took strike 3. And I went back and looked at it again this morning. In the heat of the moment, I was a little disappointed, obviously. I don't think it was a strike, especially the way that zone was last night. And one thing that I have praised Dylan Cruz for all year long, especially in the Ole Miss series, is that he's not going to force it. He generally does not expand. They got him on a changeup swinging early in the game, but he saw that ball away, and he's just not going to force it. And they rung him up. I hear you on you got to protect the plate. You can't put it in the umpire's hand. Like, I hear all that. But I think he thought he had drawn the walk to push the winning run ahead. And then, of course, White smoked one, and what a play by the second baseman on the shortstop side of second base to make that play and get it out. That was very disappointing not to get that run in. But I don't think I get too much credit for Cruz breaking out. So, in the end, LSU was gutsy. They fought, they scrapped, and they got it done. And that's the most important thing, that they continue to put skins on the wall of games where they had to deal with adversity, which they will, starting in 2 weeks at some point, and they have fought their way back. And that was huge, huge win for this team behind Paul Skeens, using your best bullpen bullet for the weekend. Hurd's done for the weekend now. And they got the win, and now they're one away from putting this thing to bed. There's still more things I want to talk about with this game. Specifically defensive replacements, the offense relying on home runs last night, some of the bigger picture things with this team. But that's kind of a chronological assessment of the way that things went last night inside Foley Field. We'll talk with Buzzy Heidel about it in 15 minutes. He was on a color for the radio call. I want to get Buzz's thoughts on that and probably what he shot this morning. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Cork's is an awesome new addition to the Baton Rouge food scene. It's from the folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue across the river over in Port Allen. It's on Government between Foster and Jefferson, and they're doing some great stuff, not just with their food over there at Cork's. They've donated over $7,000 worth of meal vouchers to local school teachers and staff this month. That is fantastic work by Paul Medinka and his crew over there at Cork's. They are part of this community. This is not one of your national seafood chains coming here and trying to sling fish and shrimp. They are local. They care about this community, and they're making damn good food over there at Cork. So stop on by for a late lunch this afternoon or this weekend. Got a catering situation? Cork can help you with that. They can handle large orders for fish and shrimp and their fries and hush puppies. It's fantastic. Just give them a little notice and pick up that food over there at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. CorksFishandShrimp.com is the website if you want to check out their menu. All right, we'll take a time out, come back. More LSU and Georgia talk on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is their website. David Duvall and his team have been in the game for 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and now closets. What would the bathroom of your dreams look like? Why don't you get a free consultation and see? David Duvall and his team can do it all. They can do a full-scale renovation. They can do something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. They can make it affordable for you at One Bath and Closets. And I promise you this, they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. They're not coming back 3 weeks later because they cut some corners to get to the next job and it's not working out. I can promise you they're not going to do that. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. Check out the testimonials. Check out their great work, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
With safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hannegriff joined me and Jimmy out for our new show, Live at Lunch, starting 11 a.m. on Memorial Day.
Can't shake this guy. Live at Lunch, 11 to 1.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
How about that? If you missed it, back at noon, Hanny and Jimmy announced they're back. Like the Beatles coming back. Going to be 11 to 1 daily, live at lunch, Hanny and the Otter. So no more game time at night, no more Hanny time at noon, 11 to 1, live at lunch, Hanny and Jimmy. That'll crank up in Memorial Day. So our regularly scheduled programming, one more week. And then when we come back Memorial Day, those two guys will have their show in partnership with the Selection Show. It'll be on Memorial Day, and then we'll all be back in action on Tuesday. It'll be, of course, OTB, 7 to 10. Then it'll be live at lunch, 11 to 1. I'll be 1 to 3, and then Matt, 3 to 6. So exciting stuff to get those two guys back in the lunchtime rotation. They had such a great run there. Split up for a couple of years there post-COVID, but they're back. I guess better than ever. So excited for those guys, and a little bit excited to have an empty studio right before my show, quite frankly, so we can set up instead of doing a NASCAR, pit stop in here to try to change everything between shows. That will be quite nice. So awesome for Jimmy and Charlie. They'll be back on Memorial Day. All right, back to LSU and Georgia last night. A couple more things I wanted to hit on. Got a couple of texts last night that said we rely on the home run too much. Last night they did. They relied on the home run a lot, and they hit 6 of them, which is very good. They don't rely on the home run too much. They literally lead the Southeastern Conference, the nation's best baseball conference. LSU leads it in batting average. They lead in on-base percentage. They lead in hits. They lead in runs. They lead in hit by pitches. They're second in doubles, and they're third in walks. They do not rely on the home run ball. You'd have a problem if you had one guy with 27 homers, one guy with 24 homers, and then nobody else had more than 6. And you were relying on those two guys to create all your offense. But as we know now, LSU's got 6 guys with double-digit home runs and a couple more guys knocking on the door, Braden Jobert being one. So there's power throughout the lineup, and it's balanced. And it's great that they hit 6 home runs. I'm glad they relied on the home run ball last night. They hit 6 of them. Josh Pearson hit his first one of the year. By the way, if you told me Josh Pearson didn't get hurt this year and hit his first home run on May 19th, I think you're nuts. But that just shows kind of the depth of where this team is, that you could go to the bench for a left-handed hitter and he could pump a 2-run homer into the trees out there in right field to help you win the ball game. Speaking of depth, there's something I want to talk about here, because this was a talking point in January and February before this thing even started. I was going, man, you've got like defensive guys you can put in all over the place. Milazzo, Napolt, Stevenson, Kling, Merrifield. You've got a lot of guys defensively that you can go to late in games. And Jay has done that. He's put in some defensive replacements late. And last night you saw Ben Napolt go in for Gavin Dugas in the 9th inning with a 2-run lead. And then LSU blew the lead, and Napolt hit leadoff instead of Dugas. Here's the deal. This is tough because Gavin Dugas is not healthy. Watch him throw. He never lifts his arm above his shoulder. He wings everything sidearm because his shoulder's hurt. Look at him. Look at him. He is compromised in a big way defensively. And Ben Napolt is a good defensive second baseman. You upgrade significantly there when Napolt comes in for Dugas. The problem I have is this bullpen blows leads at a rate that getting Gavin Dugas removed from the game is tough for me. And so I understand the value in it, but there's a downside that is, at this point, almost likely. If you had a shutdown closer, bullpen that was unhittable, and you wanted to go to defensive replacements, I'm fine with it. But Dugas is a big piece of your offense, and to not have him in huge spots, especially when the season's on the line in a couple of weeks, I'm a little torn there, I'll be honest. I'm not banging the gavel saying this is wrong. You cannot take Gavin Dugas out of the game. That's not where I am. Like, for an example, if LSU pitched Paul Skeens in the regional opener, I would stand here and say, that's wrong. I have a huge problem with that. That's not where I am on this issue. I understand it. I see the value in it. It makes me nervous because of the bullpen. I just don't trust these guys to get it done. I feel like you're still going to have to keep scoring. Now, Napolt can hit a little bit. And it's not like Dugas is crushing the ball. He does get on base a lot, but his batting average is not great. Now, on-base percentage is good, and that's important, especially in front of the guys he's hitting in front of. But it does make me a little nervous to go to defensive replacements. If you wanted to go for a defensive replacement for Brady Neal, if Brady Neal was a poor defensive catcher, and you wanted to go, then I'd go, okay, he's hitting 215, that's fine. We need to get better on defense. But Dugas, clutch hit after clutch hit, he gives you great at bat, he gets on base. I shudder a little bit now thinking about defensive replacements. And I, trust me, was all about it preseason, going through all the options that you would have. But at this point, it's just, with the bullpen, I'm worried a little bit about the defensive replacements. But LSU's in a good spot right now for this weekend series. Georgia last night threw Nolan Crisp 34 pitches. They threw Leighton Finley, who's their closer, 24 pitches. Chandler Marsh, who's got pretty good stuff, threw 39 pitches. And Will Pearson's been pretty heavily used. He threw 25 pitches, and that doesn't even mention the fact that Colin Cardwell came in and threw 9 pitches. They used 6 guys last night and lost, and it's already not a very good pitching staff. But Redans, who threw 12, Finley, who threw 24, and Crisp, who threw 34, are like their biggest leverage guys, and they used them last night. So LSU has a big advantage. Well, I shouldn't say that. LSU has a compromised pitching staff that they're going to face, and Ty Floyd has been throwing the ball very, very well. So I'm excited about the prospects of the way the game should go tonight. And as I've said a bunch of times all week long, you are one game away. You are one game away from putting a national seed to bed. I looked at the RPI this morning as well as the Quad 1 stuff. Kansas State moved into the top 50 last night with a nice win against TCU in walk-off fashion. So they are inside the top 50 at this point. Now that can change because they've got 2 more games this weekend in a conference tournament. But Kansas State moved into up to 46th to add a Quad 1 win, and LSU won a Quad 1 game last night. So this time yesterday, LSU had 15 Quad 1 wins. They now have 17. They're 17-10. They'll play in 2 more Quad 1 games today and tomorrow. The RPI is 4. You've got 18 conference wins. You've got 17 Quad 1 wins. It looks really, really good. You've got one. You may be good now. And I think there are probably some people that would say you can lose the next 4 games and you'd still be a top 8. I'm not ready to go there. You get me one more to go to 19 games. I'm sitting there looking at 18 Quad 1 wins. You can slam the door on it. I think they're 1 game away from getting it done. So that's very, very good. I thought the results last night were positive for LSU all around. And we'll see what happens today. You got a couple doubleheaders in league play today, and the rest of the league's in action. I'll get you caught up and ready for all of that coming up in the second hour. But just know the bullpen's still not awesome. They still got some issues, but LSU's still winning ball games. You look up, and at this point, you're a 41-12 team. It's been a pretty good roll, and hopefully Thatcher Hurd found a little confidence last night, and he can use that moving forward. But they're going to have to do it without Thatcher Hurd today and tomorrow as well before they get to Hoover and can cut it loose and see what you can do there. So another 5 o'clock start for LSU in Georgia tonight. Excited to see what Ty Floyd can do, and hopefully the guys can keep swinging the bats, driving the ball to the ballpark, get a win today, and put this thing to bed so we can have some fun next week watching them in Hoover, and you can get a little experimental and do kind of whatever you want over there at the SEC tournament. Game will come on 5 o'clock, as I mentioned, from Athens. On the call will be Buzzy Heidel, along with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. They'll be on the air on Eagle 98.1 coming up at 4:30. We'll go to Athens coming up next and chat with Buzzy right here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $15,000 off plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on all new 22 Ford F-150 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring.
Up on Monday's OTB, how did LSU fare in their battle in Athens? Also, the latest from the LSU football Tigers and New Orleans Saints. Got a brand new edition of Weekend Winners and spread lines to hold the Mayo. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So I've been with the LSU Sports Radio Network for 7 years now. The farthest I've ever gone with the network is New Orleans. They've sent me 60 miles down the road. I tuned in to the baseball game last night. I got buzzy in Athens. Please explain to me how this happened. Are you expensing this?
Oh, well, of course. Look, they just, Georgia's my second home now. I don't have to go on. I don't have to tell you about a little golf tournament that goes on at the beginning of April, but I've got a part of that as well. But no, it's Bill Frank has one of his kids is graduating. So he has graduation to attend, couldn't make it. Doug Thompson, God knows where he is, or with the, 3 boys that he has all in baseball. I'm not sure if he had prior obligations, but the old Buzzy off the bench. You used to that in 2009. Buzzy gets to call in relief, and I'm happy to be here. Chris and I calling the games, and it's beautiful over here. Love Athens.
So you're telling me that I was one phone call away from getting to go to Athens this weekend? Is that what I'm hearing?
You were very, very close, and I had to actually work some things and didn't know if I could make it happen. So yeah, you're working your way there, Hunt. Keep doing the right thing. Keep doing the right thing.
What did you shoot this morning?
Oh, so can you believe this? As many as all the connections that I think I have in Georgia, which the story I'm about to tell you is gonna clearly show you that I don't have any connection. Made a phone call yesterday to the literally, I think they have a course called University Club. Okay. Obviously not the one in Baton Rouge, it's in Athens. Got a lot of big reviews about that's the one you got to play. They just hosted a regional and this, that, and the other. Call them. Can't get us on. They've got a tournament there. No big deal. Okay. Well, sir, can you recommend anywhere around, 5-10 mile radius that we can go? Sir, everything really around here is private. This is really about the only course you'd be able to get on. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm playing Augusta next week. I literally have a 10:50 tee time at Augusta next Wednesday, and I can't get on anywhere in Athens. You got to be kidding me! No, so I couldn't get a tee time. Maybe I needed to dive in deeper to my Rolodex of contacts. I guess
Kirby was there last night, and you were up in the press box. You should just walked. I'm sure he can get you on. I don't think that guy has to do anything in that town to get anywhere he wants.
Well, that was another thing we were asking about, like the baseball program, and it's Coach Strickland on the hot seat and everything. And they're like, no, not really. Like everybody's just on cloud 9 with the football program in the last few years. So I think everybody's good.
I disagree with him. I think if they lose these 2 games, I think he'll be looking elsewhere. I mean, that's a program that should be really good. He's been there 11 years. He's never been to a super, and they've been to regionals 3 times. I mean, you fall out of bed as an SEC team and make 3 regionals. So I think they've got some work cut out for them. here coming up in the next couple days. All right, LSU wins last night. What did you take away from Thatcher Hurd's outing last night, positive or negative?
Yeah, I mean, we gave him the player of the game. Him and actually Jordan Thompson got co-player of the games on the LSU Sports Radio Network. And I was thinking, he probably deserves it. But if he doesn't give up the 2 homers, he doesn't get the opportunity. If they figure out a way to win that game, which I thought they were gonna when they got out of the jam with Cruz and White with the bases loaded, and then they lead off the next inning with a base hit. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be over with. But Hurd figures out a way to get out of it, and now, I mean, it's one of his better outings of the year in a spot that they really needed him. So I thought he threw really well, and I said this probably, what everybody was getting nauseous on listening to me on the radio. When you play in a ballpark like that ballpark, like Foley Field, where it's so short to right field. Now the wind was blowing in hard to left, and it's longer to left, so you got to really hit one to left. I get it, but I mean, it's just such a short porch. It's just at any second when you make one little mistake, a ball doesn't even have to be hit well, and it'll fly out of the ballpark. So I think it was a little bit of, the ballpark lended itself to a couple homers there in the ninth, and then as good as Thompson was offensively, the miscue with the pop up, maybe it doesn't even get to that in the ninth if we catch a pop up, and so just not being critical of the kid. I'm just saying, like, it may, Hurd may not even have to get to that point, but I thought it was good. I thought it was going to encourage. I thought it was very encouraging. I think that's a outing that'll maybe springboard him into have a lot of confidence and somebody that you're certainly gonna need to count on when you get into these regional super regionals. I mean, schemes can only do so much, and I was very, very excited to see Hurd come in and have success and do the things that he did.
He's got to catch the ball, so I'm not trying to make excuses, but you were there. Tell me about the wind and the rain at the point of the drop pop-up. Was that a factor, you think?
Well, I don't know if you could see this on TV or not, but obviously in person you can. When the ball was hit, I originally said, okay, well, Dylan Cruz is going to come in and make a catch. You, again, may not have been able to see this on TV. Dylan Cruz had no idea where the baseball was. Like, it was hit far enough into, like, left center, shallow left center, and Cruz takes 4 steps and he puts his hands straight up in the air like he couldn't find it. Well, then Thompson's on it, but he kind of miscues a little bit, and the wind was blowing so hard that it blew that ball from left center, short left center, all the way to the middle of the dirt on the infield. And, with moving your feet so much, when your eyes and head is moving, that ball's jumping in the air as it's coming down. Got to catch the baseball, not making an excuse for him, but it was not your typical pop-up. And you saw it, the very next batter hits one, and Thompson lost it from jump, didn't even have it. And Dugas had to make an unbelievable play to come in, and he barely hung on to it. So that was it was not your typical fungo man pop-up, no big deal, squeeze the baseball, let's go. It was major league pop-ups with crazy wind, misty rain, and that time of day, that dust time of day where it just becomes very difficult to see the ball off the bat.
How about Hayden Travinski going from a guy that I didn't think would get any at-bats this year to protecting Tommy White and doing it well?
Yeah, I mean, he takes a big hack. At times I think maybe he gets too big, but I mean, he's a guy that when he's healthy, which it looks like he is, I mean, you heard people from the last couple of years try to comparing him to Cressy with the size of it and just the swings and obviously his physical makeup. But I mean, look, Hunt, there's when Milazzo caught yesterday, like when Travinski's behind the plate and they DH Joe Bear or whoever, Pearson. I mean, there's literally 9 guys that can leave the yard at any moment. I mean, Jordan Thompson got the double-digit homers. Somebody else is knocking on the door.
Joe Bear.
Joe Bear's knocking on it. There's a couple. There's one more. There's going to be 7, 8 guys in this lineup with double-digit homers or more. So, very impressive. Glad to see Travinski have success. Glad to see all these guys have success. I mean, you telling me, you look at a guy like Pearson who's had so much success. We're trying to sacrifice bunt. We're trying to give ourselves up. Georgia gives us a gift, and then he leaves the yard, which ends up being the game-winning 2-run homer. I mean, you love to see the guys that come that are unselfish. I've heard Travinski after the Ole Miss series give the comment about he's never had so much fun playing baseball, and he loves this team, and he just loves everything about it. I mean, that's the comments you hear on teams that win it all. Will they win it all? I don't know. They still got some work to do. Obviously, that's like we know out of the bullpen. But when you have guys pulling on the same end of the rope, or holding the rope, all the things you hear from the Skip Bertman era and all that, we used to say, pulling on the same end of the rope with Maneri. When you've got all that synergism and all that, that's just good. That's just good stuff, man. And then you put together there a good team. You ain't no telling where this team will end up.
What's this 2 weeks going to be like for them? They go to Athens, then they're going to head over to Hoover and spend some time there. They're not in school. They don't have to do any studying. It's just baseball and the guys at the hotel and practice. But what's that like?
It's the best. And, I mean, we just actually took a little stroll down, Broad Street here in Athens, whatever kind of the downtown area is.
Yep.
And, there's everything's, school's out, so it's not as energetic as maybe it could be or has been. But there's good energy going around, and you see all the players walking around, go and get them a bite to eat and coming back. And that's what it is. It's just, this is a fun part of the year. Great, finals are over with. It's all baseball. You're good. You're going to be hosting a regional. You're probably going to be hosting a super regional. Everybody cares about you. There, everybody's talking about you. You're the only show in town. It's awesome, Hunt. I mean, it's the best time. And all you could think about is baseball. Now, you just said it. It's a road trip from here. They're leaving. They got up here Wednesday, and they are leaving straight from here Saturday and going to Hoover. I mean, that is a long time to be on the road. But, I mean, what else would 18 to 22-year-old kids be doing? I mean, it's the greatest thing in the world. Getting a buzz, you got your buddies with you. And when you talk to old ball players, and they know this. I know sometimes, kids don't probably see the big picture, but there are a lot of mature kids on this team. I think they know this. But when you talk to old ball players, guys my age and even guys in 50s and 60s that have done, played ball and was on a part of the team, they all say the same thing. You don't miss baseball. Baseball was great, and you love the game. And you miss the locker room, you miss the bus rides. That's all the stuff you miss. So I'm envious of these guys getting to hang out with their brothers and get to go on a fun ride with it.
I know in the pregame show, Chris is going to ask you to detail the starting pitching matchup. What are some keys for Ty Floyd tonight?
Well, he's got to keep the ball down. I mean, he's got that good ride on the fastball, but we already know about the ballpark and what it is to right field. And Georgia is a good hitting team. Yeah. I mean, they came into the game, the ball game yesterday, 94 homers. What did they hit? 2 or 3 homers yesterday? So I mean, they're at 95 or 96 homers on the year. Condon's incredible. I mean, Tate's unbelievable. So they've got a good offense, and I thought they battled Skeens as good as anybody's really fought him all year. And so Floyd's just got to keep the ball down, and he's got to get, you'd like to see him get to, every bit of 6 innings. You'd love him to get into the 7th inning where they don't have to go to, Johnny Holstaff out of the bullpen. Let's go to, a Guidry or an Ackenhausen, or let's not try to get into a merry-go-round of pitchers. So if Ty Floyd can keep the ball down in the zone, obviously throw a lot of strikes, which typically he does, and get late into this game, that's a key. Georgia's bullpen's not particularly great. I know LSU fans think LSU's bullpen is struggles and all these things, but Georgia's they've got the same issues on that side. And I was actually shocked yesterday of all the strikes that the relievers threw. They really did a good job of throwing a lot of strikes. I thought they would, be a little more sporadic pitching, but they threw a lot of strikes. But that's not the norm for Georgia. So if LSU can get into their bullpen quick, that'll be good for them.
I got a pro tip for you here in Athens. I spent a lot of time in Athens in college. My 2 roommates are best friends in Athens. Look, if you go out after the game tonight, you're looking for a piece of pizza, Little Italy downtown. I saw one of the great moves I've ever seen. Apparently, my buddy did this all the time on the college budget. They have a number system where you have a number ticket and they call out the number. He said, "Watch this." He just grabbed a ticket off the floor, walked up and goes, "Hey, I'm number 61 and I never got my pizza." Like, "Oh, okay." And they hand him a slice of pepperoni. So I don't know if the network is picking you up or not on that. But look, if you're working on a budget, go to Little Italy. You can pull that move. I'm sure it still works 15 years later.
I'll give it a shot. I actually saw the pizza place already, so I'm going to give it a shot. Thank you, Hunt.
All right, Buzz, enjoy it, and we'll talk soon.
Have a good one, brother.
That's Buzzy Heidel, LSU Sports Radio Network. I love Athens. God, I was one call away, apparently. I'm listening to Buzz. Doug can't go. Franquez is at graduation. Buzzy got the call. I'd be next. I'd be out at Little Italy. Bourbon Street's, that's the freshman bar. I don't think I would go there anymore, but I love Athens. Number 1 college town in the SEC for me. I actually went in 2009 when Buzzy was playing, and LSU played Georgia, and we watched the Friday night game there. Interesting story about that. I'll just go ahead and tell it right here. One of my buddies of mine We were sitting in right field. If you look at the game tonight, you'll see there's bleachers in right field. Those weren't there in 2009. They had a kind of a berm situation that we were sitting on as college kids, and there was about a 15-foot elevation change from where you were sitting to the base of the wall, and that 15-foot elevation change was covered in like big boulders and rocks. And my buddy, who was going to Georgia at the time, did not like Georgia's center fielder. He lived 2 doors down, and they didn't get along for whatever reason. So he was heckling his own center fielder like an idiot. There was a little bit of alcohol involved here. And he was going to heckle him, and he tripped down this rock facade and banged into the metal fence in right field in Athens. And all 8 defensive players and the umpire turned around and looked at the outfield wall because my buddy had tripped down the wall and banged into it. He was asked to leave after that. LSU won that night. It was great. I think Mikey Mata get a homer. Renato pitched. It was great. But I love Athens. A lot of fond memories over there in Georgia. Appreciate Buzz for coming on. We'll talk a little bit about the SEC and what happened last night and what it means for LSU. We'll preview today's action as well. Interesting piece that I read in The Athletic earlier today about SEC head football coaches. If there was one question you could ask them and know you were going to get a truthful answer, what would it be? I thought it was interesting. We'll talk about that in hour number 2. And then the PGA is going on, and there is an unbelievable story going on in the PGA. I'll get to that in hour number 2 as well. Still got to close out hour number 1. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Back after this.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Acadian Companies, truly a champion of Louisiana. They're grounded in their people and the culture of South Louisiana. In 1971, Acadian Companies was founded by a Duke who recognized the need for local emergency medical support. And Acadian quickly established themselves as an early industry trailblazer. One of Acadian Company's awesome initiatives is Hometown Heroes, and they partner with local high schools in South Louisiana, and they train and prepare students for a career as a licensed EMT. That, 1, provides a career path for these youngsters, and 2, it makes a difference in people's lives as we put lifesavers into the workforce. Acadian Company is truly a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana, we want to tell their story. Go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana like Acadian Companies so we can tell their story right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Acadian Companies, a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got
Charles Hanniger. The regular season is in the books. They're headed to the SEC tournament in Hoover. We talk about it on Hanny Time for one more week. Noon weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. I think Cork's invented a new dish, like in restaurant world. It looks fantastic. I haven't had it yet, but I will be having it soon. The étouffée smothered pork chop over there at Cork's sounds fantastic. I'll tell you about their delicious fried catfish. It's not muddy or fishy. It's clean and it's crispy. Batter's fantastic. The delicious jumbo Gulf shrimp, and that's all very, very tasty. If you're looking to eat a little lighter, a little leaner, you can do that at Cork's as well. They've got a grilled shrimp Caesar salad over at Cork's. I'm going to lean more towards the fried catfish and fried shrimp, but if you're looking for a salad, Cork's can help you out with that as well. It's right there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Bring you our Friday shows. Really appreciate the folks over at Cork's for bringing you our Friday shows. Stop on by for a late lunch or grab some dinner over at Cork's. They'll get you through that drive-through real quick, and the food is fantastic, even in that drive-through. If you missed the announcement earlier, I want to go back and one more time review it. They did it at noon earlier today. Jimmy and Hanny are coming back. Not sports today. It's not going to be sports today. Going to be live at lunch, but they're going to be back in their old slot, 11 to 1. They'll be out on the road. It's going to be a lot of fun and something that they did, obviously, for the better part of a decade, and they'll be back in action as of Memorial Day. So one more week of your regularly scheduled program here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and then we'll switch over to the new schedule that'll have Jimmy and Hanny live at lunch from 11 to 1 every single weekday, leading you into this on Palmer Show. PGA Championship update on the leaderboard right now. Scotty Scheffler leads the tournament at 5 under. He is 2 under through 4 holes in his second round, birdied the first 2. So top 5 player in the driver's seat. Bryson DeChambeau tees off in a little bit here in his second round. Sam Burns, trunk slamming today, if you're not familiar with that term. He will not be making the cut, and that's because he was really, really not very good this weekend. 14 over par. He shot 80 in his second round. And I heard Scott Rowley talking about this on Handy Time a little bit earlier, and I'll kind of opine on it as well. Like, it's odd and perplexing that Sam has not played well really in any of the majors. He's won big-time events. He's won on the Florida swing. He's been in the last group at Riviera, which is a tough golf course with a loaded field. And he's never even in the mix in these majors. Not at Augusta, not at the PGA or U.S. Open, not over at the Open Championship. Those are all different kinds of golf, and he's got all the shots. He hits it a mile. He's got a really good short game. He puts the eyes out of it. Like, he's got every ingredient. He's played under pressure in the President's Cup, played great there. I don't think he's, like, choking. He's just not playing well in any of them. He's never had a top 20. Had one where he finished 20th. Never been inside the top 19 in a major championship, and he's a top 15 player in the world. It's just very, very odd. And he went out there this weekend, 74-80, or this week, 74-80. He will not be making the weekend. Some guys that kind of joined him in some really poor golf. Webb Simpson shot 14 over in his 2 rounds. You had a pretty poor showing from Cameron Young, who shot 9 over in his 2 rounds. He won't be making the cut either. Tom Kim, who got got really muddy yesterday. Is 8 over. The projected cut right now is 5 over. So those guys are not going to make the weekend. Those are some guys that have played really good golf over the last year. Matt Fitzpatrick is through 2 holes today. He's got some work to do to make the cut. So that's your update from up there in Rochester, New York with the PGA Championship. That's it for hour number 1 here on a Friday. If you missed any, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Or Apple Podcast, or Spotify, or Google, or YouTube. I want to remind you, we've got a couple of YouTube channels that we've launched. It's Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. If you want our LSU football content or our Saints, obviously, football content, Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints. You subscribe, it'll pull up right into your feed. No baseball there, no basketball, just football. Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints. So check that out on YouTube. Hour 1 on demand. We opened with LSU baseball for 30 minutes, kind of gave you my thoughts on what we saw last night in Athens. Buzzy Heidel chimed in from Athens at 1:30, so go check that out on demand. Loaded hour number 2 as well. We're going to start with baseball. I'll talk you through some of the results last night and how they impacted LSU, where LSU sits right now as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned. Got a great article from The Athletic that I want to go through, and an amazing story from the PGA Championship as well. So stick with us for another hour here. We're with you on the capital city's leader in sports talk. It is 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown with the Miami Heat winning Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals on the road. Our Kendrick Perkins says tonight's Game 2 is a must-win for the Celtics, and Jason Tatum must be a big part of it.
We can blame a little bit on Coach Mazzulla and talk about putting him in position to be successful, but you're that guy. Humbly speaking, you're one of the best players in the world. If you want the damn basketball, go get the damn basketball.
Kendrick Perkins on Get Up. Game 2 coverage, Celtics and Heat, starts at 8 Eastern here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Second round of the PGA Championship live right now on ESPN and ESPN+. Scotty Scheffler, the leader at 5 under by 1 over Bryson DeChambeau and Corey Connors. In the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, Game 1 of the Western Conference Final in Las Vegas. The Golden Knights hosting the Dallas Stars, the game at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. And Jose Altuve of the Astros will play his first game of the season tonight against the A's.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on a Friday. Show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. One more hour to go. Well, it is officially the weekend. I love these 5 o'clock baseball starts. It's awesome. I'm going to go get the little guy, get him home. He might take a nap. We'll see. Fired up at 5 o'clock. And there's baseball starting at right now, I believe, if my memory serves, from the double headers from last night. There were a couple games that were rained out. South Carolina and Tennessee were rained out, and Missouri and Auburn were rained out. And I believe today that they start at 2 o'clock. Let's pull that up. There it is. Yep. 2 o'clock starts for Missouri and Auburn, as well as Ole Miss and Alabama today. So some baseball firing up right this very second in Southeastern Conference play. I mentioned in the first hour that last night after LSU finished up, I started watching some other games with some implications for LSU, some with not. I'm reaching a little bit, trying to care a lot about the TCU-Kansas State outcome. It's a little bit of a reach, but that is a quad one opponent for LSU at the moment. I'm trying to keep it that way. So nice win for Kansas State to get into the 40s. That's a quad one win for LSU. They beat them in Round Rock on a Friday behind Paul Skeens. And then I was watching A&M and Mississippi State, and mainly just pulling against Texas A&M because I want them to miss the tournament because I think that's funny. And they did. They missed. They lost last night, so they got their work cut out for them. Let's go through what we saw last night in league play outside of Athens, Georgia. Florida beats Kentucky 10-3. Hurston Waldrop, who did not really pitch last week in the series against Vanderbilt, he went out there, got a 1-2-3 first. It rained, and then he couldn't come back. So he didn't really pitch last week. He got the ball in a Thursday night situation against Kentucky last night and was very good. 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 6 strikeouts for him. Florida had 13 hits without a homer, but they rolled up 10 runs, and they beat Kentucky 10-3. So Kentucky is relevant to LSU. I don't think that Florida is. Florida's going to be a national seed. They're 19-9. They're a top 8 lock at this point. They're 1 game behind Arkansas for the SEC championship race, so the games are still important to them from that perspective. As far as LSU goes, I'm not concerned about Florida. Kentucky, because of their ridiculously strong RPI and massive amount of quadrant 1 wins, is relevant to LSU when we start talking about the SEC pecking order mattering in the top 8. We had Joe Healy on yesterday. I asked him the question that I've kind of been pondering, and he agreed with me that really LSU's biggest issue is not going to be LSU's resume if they get left out of a top 8 spot. It's going to be a logjam of Southeastern Conference teams, and the committee's not going to be – the committee is not going to give the SEC 6 national seats. That's not going to happen, period. So you need to make sure you're towards the top of that pecking order. And Kentucky's resume is wild because their record's not that great. They have a lot of losses. Their standing in the league's not that great, but they've got a ton of quadrant 1 wins, and they were RPI 1. So now you look up, and Kentucky's dropped to 2, which is still insanely strong RPI, and they're 20-14 against Q1. That's really good. But if their SEC record is not good enough, they can hold that against Kentucky, and that's what I'm banking on. So right now, Kentucky is 15-13 in the league. If they split these next 2 with Florida, which is pretty reasonable, they could lose them both, and if they're 15-15 in the league, they're not going to get a national seed. But at 16-14, is that relevant? We'll have to see. We know in the past that they have leaned really heavily on the RPI, but in situations like last year with A&M, they went to conference standings instead. And A&M won the West, so they got a national seed with an RPI in the 20s. Kentucky's relevant to LSU to me, so I'm pulling against them. If I can get them to 15-15 in the league, they're not getting a national seed over LSU, and that's what I'm aiming for. So I'm pulling for Florida, as I mentioned yesterday, to beat Kentucky. They did last night. I think that was a positive result for LSU. It does make LSU's road to winning the Southeastern Conference really tough, but I'm not worried about that, as I said yesterday. Don't care. Won a top 8. So, Gator Chomp got it done yesterday. Arkansas beats Vanderbilt 8-2. I liked that result as well. Arkansas at this point has 20 league wins. They have 20 quad 1 wins. They are a lock for a national seed. I don't care about them. Vanderbilt, right there in that LSU-Kentucky conversation. If LSU doesn't hold up its end of the bargain. None of this matters for LSU's national seeds if you go out there and win a couple games. Maybe you can just win tonight. I think if you just win tonight. But if LSU, like they've done the last 2 weeks, loses the last 2 games a weekend with no Paul Skeens and a shoddy bullpen, all of a sudden we got to start having discussions when they get to Hoover. That's what we're talking about here, and Vanderbilt's very much in those discussions. Arkansas beat them last night 8-2. Arkansas scored 4 in the first, and through 3.5 innings, it was 7-0 Arkansas over Vanderbilt. Vandy made 4 errors. They were sloppy, and they fall to RPI number 8. So if you're looking at LSU and Vanderbilt straight up, LSU has a game-and-a-half lead on Vanderbilt in the league, and they have a better RPI. Now, Vanderbilt's quad 1 record is 18-13. That's more wins than LSU, but the winning percentage isn't as good. LSU is at 17-10. So I'm trying to back Vandy up. And we got that last night with Arkansas. That's the deal here. I'm willing to compromise the Southeastern Conference title race, the West race, all that kind of stuff, because I don't really care about that. I want to play at home. And so, if Vanderbilt backs up and Kentucky backs up, that eases the path for LSU to play at home. I think Vanderbilt and LSU are fairly comparable right now. Let's knock them back a few pegs. So I'm pulling for Arkansas over Vanderbilt again today. Bama beat Ole Miss 4-1. I think Bama's in. They fired their coach. Crazy scandal. Injuries to the top of their rotation. It's been a wild spring in Tuscaloosa. But they're going to get in the NCAA tournament. They win against Ole Miss last night 4-1. They are now 14-14 in league play, so they've got 14 wins. Their RPI is 11. They're in. They can lose the next 2 to Ole Miss, lose a couple in Hoover. Their RPI is not going to fall outside the top 20 probably. And that's good enough with 14 league wins to get in. So I think Bama is in great shape. A&M's got work to do, folks, and last night was hilarious. I'll be quite honest with you. A&M leads in the game 8-7 in the 8th inning. If you missed this. They had an 8-7 lead, bases loaded for Mississippi State with 1 out in the 8th. And Mississippi State's kid hits a rocket. And the A&M second baseman backhand picks it on a short hop and turns 2. Massive. Keeps the lead at 1. Could have ricocheted off him, scored 2 runs, could have gotten through. A lot of things could have happened, and the kid at second base makes an awesome play to turn 2. So A&M takes a 1-run lead to the ninth against Mississippi State, and they add to it with another run in the ninth. So they've got a 9-7 lead going to the ninth, and Mississippi State draws a leadoff walk, absolutely indefensible, cannot walk the leadoff guy. They draw another walk with 1 out. So you put 2 guys on base, and then the Mississippi State kid hits it out to left. 3-run walk-off jack into the night in Starkville. Hilarious. So A&M now looks up at 12-16 in league play. They've got to win some games. They've got to win 2 against Mississippi State, so they've got to win the next 2. That would put them at 14-16, but their RPI is not great right now. And so they're probably going to have to do some work in Hoover as well. I mean, 37 RPI is nowhere near. I said Bama was in at 14-16. Their RPI is 11. Texas A&M's is 37. We're talking about, in A&M, probably a more epic failure than the football season last year. Both of those teams were top 5 entering their season. A&M was a top 5 football team entering last season, and A&M was a top 5 baseball team entering last season. And you look up, they went 6-6 in football, and this baseball team's probably going to miss the postseason. Nice effort by that athletic program. They continue to achieve great things in College Station. Or not. So Mississippi State, I think, can deal them the death knell this weekend if they win 1 more game. Now, sure, Texas A&M could get to Hoover and get to Sunday and win the thing. And that would probably change the numbers a little bit. Boost your RPI, you get some quadrant 1 wins. Maybe it looks a little bit better at that point. But I don't know if you split the next 2 in your A&M and you look up and you're 13-17 in the league, that usually doesn't get in. Usually doesn't. Ole Miss did it at 14-16 last year. We know how that turned out. I don't want any part of that. So I'm trying to get A&M left out of the postseason altogether. That's the goal here. I think they're 1 loss away from making that happen. So lots and lots of baseball today in SEC play. You got doubleheaders between Tennessee and South Carolina and Missouri and Auburn. You got action already underway in Tuscaloosa and Auburn today. And LSU, of course, will crank things up at 5 o'clock against Georgia, trying to, I think, punch their ticket to a home regional and super regional with a W. So looking forward to sitting down and watching a little bit of that this evening. All right, a couple things to get to here before we shut things down for the week. We got a crazy story from the PGA Championship that I've teased a couple times. We'll talk about that at 2:30. But when we come back, I thought an interesting piece about football from The Athletic. The Athletic said, okay, if we could ask SEC head football coaches one question and knew we were going to get a truthful answer, what would we ask them? And then the beat writers gave what they thought was a truthful answer. I'll discuss a couple of those, including Brian Kelly's answer, coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is On Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Recapping Game 1 of LSU Georgia, previewing the weekend. Terrio's here for the Riot Radio Hours. It's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by their Government Street location. Grab some of that delicious fried catfish, fried shrimp. Got that baked potato stuffed with crawfish etouffee and topped with Gulf fried shrimp. It's fantastic. Great stuff over there at Cork's. So great little exercise here by The Athletic, which they do some cool stuff over there. I always enjoy reading day to day. What they did was they took the SEC, well, they took every Power 5, but we're going to do SEC for the purposes of this listenership. And they basically said, come up with a question you'd love to ask the SEC head coach, and they would have to give you a truthful answer. Because we know what press conferences have turned into. They used to be a really useful situation, gain information, grab a quote. Now it's just so much coach speak, so many cliches, so much guarded PR stuff that rarely is there much of any substance in the press conference. So we'll create the substance. We'll tell them they have to tell the truth. So I thought some of the questions were interesting, and I'll go through a couple. We'll start with Brian Kelly. The question that they would like to pose, and Brody wrote the story, is, how much do you think about your legacy compared to Saban's, Myers, and other contemporaries, so Nick Saban, Urban Meyer? I think that's interesting. And I don't know that Brian Kelly, I don't know Brian Kelly, but this is what my gut tells me based on listening to some quotes and just kind of reading the situation that we have here. I don't know that he's necessarily concerned with his legacy compared to Nick Saban's or Urban Meyer's. I do think that if he finishes an 8 or 9 year run here and never wins a national championship and sits back and reflects on his career, he'll feel like there's a missing piece. I think you realize, having the success that he's had and winning the amount of games that you had, you're certainly not anywhere close to a failure of a coach. But right now, what you would say about Brian Kelly's legacy is he got to the big games with Notre Dame and they got run off the field. Eddie Lacy's still scoring touchdowns in that BCS game. They didn't necessarily compete in those playoff games. And that's the top of what he's reached. And I believe the reason he came to LSU is because it's easier to win the entire thing with the players you can attract at LSU and the money available through the SEC and the facility and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's why he's here. And I think that drives him to win one. I don't think he, needs to win 6 like Nick or catch Urban Meyer. I just think there will be a little bit of a hole missing if he doesn't get all the way there. And I think that creating a better legacy is probably important to him, not necessarily, because he could have stayed at Notre Dame. That's a great job. And he was winning a lot and had good team in place. And, it was a good situation. I think the reason he jumped was not necessarily the huge stack of cash. It was, hey, let's make a run at this thing. I thought another interesting one was a question to Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Do you think you can reach your goals at Ole Miss? That's kind of an open end. Like, I don't know what his goals are. But if it's winning a national championship, I think my answer would be no. I've softened on this a little bit because we just saw TCU make a run. And Ole Miss did come one fluke play against Arkansas with the ridiculous backwards lateral 40 yards and a 3rd and 26 or whatever it was from winning the West. And maybe there's a possibility with an expanded playoff of getting hot with one team. He cannot build a continuous championship level program at Ole Miss. That's not doable. Can you pop one team? Maybe. So if your goal is to, build a championship level program that competes for it year in and year out, do what Bama's done, do what Georgia's done, do what some of the schools around the league have done at a given time with LSU and Florida and some of that. That's not doable at Notre Dame, at Ole Miss. There's not enough NIL money. There's not enough. It's just not. It's Vaught Hemingway versus Bryant Denny or Death Valley or the Swamp. Like, it's just not going to. You can't do that at Ole Miss. I've softened my stance on could one team, one player get hot and get it done. It's possible. I'd have to see it. But if Lane Kiffin's goal is to create that, no, one team, maybe. Shane Beamer, the question is, do you think you're actually about to flip things around on Dabo and Clemson? That's interesting to me, not from the South Carolina perspective, from the Clemson perspective. Because they were as good a program as there was in college football. They were toe-to-toe with Alabama. They beat them in the national championship game twice. Like, that's legit. This was no fluke. This was no TCU miracle run, losing, in the fourth quarter of 5 games and finding a way to get W's on the scoreboard. No, this was continued dominant football, year in and year out. Different quarterbacks. And it feels like it might be slipping a little bit. 1, the ACC is on such rocky ground. 2, Dabo seems a little bit hesitant to get on board with the new era of college football, with NIL, with the transfer portal. You can't get on in press conferences and say how terrible NIL is. Nobody's going to show up. These kids want the available money. That's natural. You can hate it or love it, but you better get on board with it. And Dabo and Clemson don't feel like they are. So I don't really care about the future of South Carolina's program, but as someone who follows LSU and just played Clemson in a national championship game a few years ago, that's relevant to LSU, and it feels like things might be slipping over there. We'll see. I like the new quarterback they got. Klubnik looks like he can play. We'll see. I think that's interesting. This one's very interesting to me, and I kind of saved it for a reason. Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher. How do you really feel about handing over play calling duties to someone else? I can answer this one. Not good. Jimbo believes to his core that what he does and what he believes in still works. He believes that with every fiber of his being, in his bones. He believes the offense that he called last year is a national championship offense. I truly believe that. I never met Jimbo Fisher one day in my life, but I've watched him for 20 years. And last year, when they couldn't score any points, he was saying, I mean, it's the same stuff we've called forever. Went 9-1, 10-1 in COVID year, calling the same stuff. And then they beat LSU with same stuff, calling the same stuff. Gonna run a football, gonna play action, gonna throw and catch it. Same stuff we all done. It doesn't. You've got to spread the football field. You've got to do some things a little bit differently than you did running bubble screens with Skylar Green 20 years ago. And that is among the most fascinating storylines in the Southeastern Conference this fall, is what does A&M look like with Bobby Petrino calling plays, and how does the relationship between Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino work? There are times we have seen where coordinator relationships with head coaches have fractured. It happened at halftime of the Troy game with LSU, with Ed Ogeron and Matt Canada. LSU came out in the second half against Troy and didn't run any motions. Ed Ogeron literally went to Matt Canada and said, stop motioning. That is a huge piece to what Matt Canada does. Stop running motions. That's a fracture. And those two personalities, Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino, are pretty potent. I'm not going to stand here, like I think Hester will. I'm not going to stand here and tell you I think that A&M has no chance to work with Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino. I'm not that bearish on it. I think Wigman's good. I think Anaya Smith's good. I think Moose Muhammad's good. Like, I think they've got some ability to have a pretty good offense this year. But the storyline is, and make no mistake about it, what does that relationship look like between Bobby Petrino and Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher? I think that is really interesting. Alabama's I didn't find as thought-provoking, but I will toss it out there. What made Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele the ideal coordinator duo, and how short is the leash for both? The reason why I don't want to put too much into that is because I just think that Saban's got such a machine built over there. They've just rotated so many coordinators in and out, and it usually works pretty good. I mean, last year, everyone hated both coordinators in Tuscaloosa. They were 2 plays from going undefeated. I just don't put a ton of stock into like how vital the coordinators are in Tuscaloosa. I think Saban's a great coach. I think they hire quality guys who have great players, better than every team they play outside of Athens. And more often than not, they're going to win a lot of football games. So I'm just not as concerned with the coordinators in Alabama. I just think that generally speaking, they're fine. So I thought an interesting piece. If you want to read all the SEC storylines, all the head coaches, you can check it out on The Athletic. All the different beat writers went through and gave their thoughts on what that question would be. They asked Mississippi State, how prepared is Zach Arnett to be a head coach? The silly one with Kentucky, is Kentucky a football school or a basketball school? All that jazz. Didn't think that was necessarily riveting radio here on a Friday, but I do think some of that stuff is interesting as far as Brian Kelly's legacy and what you can do at Ole Miss and how happy Lane Kiffin is there. Don't think he's going to be there for a long time. What does it look like in this fall with Texas A&M? A bunch of storylines that we'll certainly get to in the summer when Media Days rolls around, but a good piece there by The Athletic, so I thoroughly enjoyed that. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by. They'll get you to that drive-through really quick on Government Street. You can have some delicious fried catfish, fried Gulf shrimp, and their new fries. They had the crinkle cuts. They don't anymore. They got your crispy shoestring fries, which I think are much better. They got great food over there at Cork, so get on by on this Friday. And tell them that you heard about it on the Hunt Palmer Show. Tell Paul and Michael and the crew over there that brought you Kuyon's Barbecue. Now they got a new food concept here at Corks. Get on by and tell them you heard about it on the Hunt Palmer Show. All right, 30 minutes to go. We'll come back with more on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Cold in Baton Rouge. Ah, the rain, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
Me, Jimmy Ott and Charles Henniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. Game Time live from Fin Bomb, Sushi Burrito, Poke Ramen, Burbank and Lee. It's Game Time Monday 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Some of you listening love golf. Some of you listening can't stand golf. Some of you listening are indifferent towards golf and don't really pay any attention to it. But what's undeniable is that golf offers some things that the other sports do not. And there's evidence of that in the PGA Championship this weekend. Michael Block is, I'm guessing, someone you've never heard of until this week, or maybe just have never heard of, period. Michael Block is a professional at a public golf course in Southern California. And he played college golf at Mississippi State and gave it a shot on some lower level tools. And now he is a pro at Arroyo Chabuco. It's a Tom Lehman course, and he gives lessons out there and runs the golf course. He's the professional there. The PGA Championship hosts a tournament for club professionals, whether it's Country Club Louisiana or Baton Rouge Country Club here, or whether it's Olympic Club or it's club professionals from wherever. They can go and play, and a certain number qualify for the PGA Championship. It's part of the draw of the PGA Championship. JJ Colleen, who hosts the podcast with John Peterson, went and qualified, and he played in the PGA Championship this weekend. And Michael Block finished second in that tournament and qualified for the PGA Championship. And through 2 rounds, he has posted a pair of even par scores and will make the cut. And it just springs to mind to me, and he's in the contention, he's in 13th place, that and he's not average Joe. He played college golf, but he's not one of these guys, one of the greatest players in the world. What would it look like if you took a 45-year-old former college basketball player and put him out there against Giannis Antetokounmpo or LeBron? Had him try to guard Steph. It would be comical. If you had a former college football player who's 45 years old try to block Myles Garrett, it'd be a joke. Try to deal with Aaron Donald. You get injured real quick. Average Joe trying to return Novak Djokovic's serve. People like us never score a point. But golf, on a given day, guys like that can compete with the best players in the world because you're playing the course, and the best players in the world can't defend you. Try to stand in there and hit one of the greatest pitchers in baseball. It would be laughable if you stood in there and tried to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. But Michael Block is in 12th place. He's ahead of Dustin Johnson. He's ahead of Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Adam Scott, Hideki Matsuyama, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Smith, Justin Thomas. He's ahead of Jon Rahm by 5 shots. 5 shots, best player in the world. Start talking about top 10 players in the world, like Matt Fitzpatrick, Cam Young. He beat Cam Young by 9 shots. He beat Sam Burns by 14 shots. Sung J M's a top 15 player. He beat Sung J M by 13 shots over 2 days. That's such a cool thing about golf, that guys up in age. Tom Watson was knocking on the door of 60, and he got in a playoff to win the British Open. At 60. Freddie Couple shows up at Augusta. Here he goes. T13. Plays like 2 competitive tournaments a year. I just think it's so cool that this is offered. And you get the amateurs in the U.S. Open. I remember the story a couple years ago of the guy who was a firefighter that played in the U.S. Open qualifier because he's a +1 handicap. And all of a sudden you look up and he was in the top 20 at one point on the weekend. And so today you looked up and Matt Block was tied for second at one point. Now he hit a cold hosel rocket shank on the back 9, ended up dropping a couple shots, but he got in the clubhouse at even. And he is very much in the mix right now. Now, am I going to bet on him to play 2 more rounds and shoot 6 shots better than Scotty Scheffler? No, I'm not. I don't expect him to win the golf tournament. But I do think it's very cool to watch something like that. And yesterday, something that different sports are trying different things in terms of their television broadcasts. You've got baseball players in the major leagues talking to the broadcast booth during the action. You got Manning cast for Monday Night Football with those two guys interviewing people and sitting on the couch and watching it that way. You've got that for the PGA with Matty and the caddy. They got Matt Berry and Michael Collins doing some commentary. And one of the things golf is doing is they're putting earbuds in guys after they've teed off and letting them walk the 300 yards in the fairway and talk to the broadcasters. And the golfers are into it because it helps their PIP points, which is a big bonus at the end. And it brings eyeballs, and it's a more interesting way to do things. And I think golfers want the game to grow, and they want, to do things that can help with that. And so they've got this walk and talk that works really well. Tony Finau did it yesterday, and he wasn't playing very well, but he did a great job with it on this par 3. And they let Matt Block do it yesterday, and he was great. He was funny and energetic and insightful, and he's out there literally playing the best players in the world and more than holding his own. And golf's the only sport that really allows us to do that. I can go out there, me personally, and play Jon Rahm in golf, and if I get enough strokes, I can beat him. And on a given hole, I could theoretically make a better score than him. I don't love my odds of, like I said, blocking Myles Garrett. I don't necessarily, want to dig in there and hit whatever pitcher comes to mind. Throwing 100, which most of these guys do. But golf, you just get out there and you play. And 45-year-old Matt Block is out there competing with some of the best players in the world. I think it's fantastic. We'll get you an update on the leaderboard over at the PGA. Scotty Scheffler is 5 under for the tournament. He's got company at the top of the leaderboard with Canadian Corey Connors, who is 2 under in his round today through 6 holes. Victor Hovland is at 3 under. Keegan Bradley is at 3 under. Bryson DeChambeau is at 3 under. Then you go down. Justin Rose is at 1. Michael Block, like I mentioned, is at even par, joined by Keegan Thompson. Like I mentioned, older guys. Padraig Harrington's in his 50s. He's at even par playing good golf. He should actually make the European Ryder Cup team. Patrick Cantley is in a group at 1 over par with Sahith Theegala. Rory McIlroy is 1 under. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, Sam Burns, 14 over par for his 2-day score. He is going to be trunk slamming and heading on home. Will not make the cut this weekend at the PGA. And it's just been a bad run of majors for Sam Burns to start his career. Just hasn't found a way to crack the code in major championship golf. We'll see if he gets another chance. The U.S. Open coming up at Los Angeles Country Club next month. So that's your look at the PGA Championship scoreboard from Rochester. When we come back, we'll close out the show. I'll give you a couple thumbnails in the LSU baseball game tonight, and then we'll play some Take It or Leave It, and that'll do it on this Friday. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks. We'll close it next.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime.
Charles Hannegriff joined me and Jimmy out for our new show, Live at Lunch, starting 11 a.m. on Memorial Day.
Can't shake this guy. Live at lunch, 11 to 1.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU and Georgia, 5 o'clock this afternoon, 6 o'clock Athens time. If you want to listen to it, Eagle 98.1, our sister station, we'll have the call. It's Chris Blair and Buzzy Heidel from Athens, Georgia. Pregame starts up at 4:30. Charlie Goldstein's going to get the ball for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's a lefty coming off an injury last year and then more recently an injury a couple weeks ago against Tennessee, but he did come back to action against Missouri last week through 4 innings of 2-run ball. Not a huge strikeout guy, but has had some pretty good outings this year. He was good in an outing against Ole Miss. He went 7 innings and gave up 3 earned runs. He was good, really good in an outing against Arkansas where he shut them out over 6 innings. Pretty good against Florida, 5 innings, just 1 earned run in that one. But against Missouri last week, 2 earned runs in 4 innings. He has been stretched out previously up to 93 pitches in the Ole Miss outing, 90 pitches against Kentucky. But he only threw 2 pitches against Tennessee, came out, and then was down to 56 pitches last week against Missouri. So not sure how long Goldstein can go, but he's been pretty good for the Dogs this year. So LSU's going to have to get the bats out as they did in the game last night. And then, look, in the game tomorrow, LSU is going to see another left-handed starter, the 3rd one in a row on the weekend. And we talked yesterday with Joe Healy, and then you heard on Matt's show Kendall Rogers, and they believe that the arm that LSU will see tomorrow in Liam Sullivan is the best that Georgia has to offer. I've seen Liam Sullivan pitch a lot this year. in highlights and then in live games, it doesn't look all that impressive to me. He's kind of a stiff left-hander, fastball 92-ish, and a big breaking ball. But I'm not blown away by anybody on Georgia's staff. And if you look at the box score from last night, you realize they used 6 pitchers, and a couple of guys are going to be hard-pressed to bring back, especially today. Chandler Morris threw 39 pitches. Nolan Crisp threw 34 pitches. Leighton Finley, the closer, threw 24 pitches. So their bullpen's a little thin. LSU has got a compromised pitching staff that they're looking at in Georgia coming up this evening. For Ty Floyd, I'm really anxious to see Ty pitch. Again, this is a quality offense, very similar to one you'll see from a 2-seed or even a super regional team. I mean, Georgia's that good offensively. They've just got serious issues on the mound, which is why they are where they are, and they're probably not going to make the NCAA tournament. But their offense is as good as a 2-seed or a super regional team would be, especially with Condon swinging the bat the way that he can. So for Ty, it's a big outing. I want to see him throw the ball over the plate. That's obviously goal number one, and use that breaking ball. That's got to be a weapon for him, and it makes the fastball play up. When he can execute the breaking ball, which he did more often than not last week. That was the game that I called, so I was kind of charting it a little more closely than I normally do. And he threw a couple of bad breaking balls, but when he threw some good ones, that played the fastball up on top of that, and that's where he can really get those swings and misses and some weak contact. So you're going to give up some runs to that offense in that ballpark. That's just the way it goes for every LSU pitcher that goes the rest of the weekend. It doesn't throw 100 like Skeen does. Like you realize when you go into that offense that's good in that ballpark, they're going to score a little bit. You got to trust that your offense will as well and just continue to get out. So big outing for Ty Floyd tonight, and we'll see what LSU does with no Thatcher Hurd tonight. But everybody else is loaded and ready to go. So hopefully the Tigers can get it done. I think they need one more win to lock up that top 8. Hopefully they can get it in the game at 5 o'clock this afternoon. All right, that's going to just about do it. Let's play some Take It or Leave It, Alondra Villarreal.
Okay, when asked about his rather gaudy clothing choices, Victor Hovland says, I wear a lot of black and gray. They pay me to wear this. Take it or leave it.
There he is on the TV screen right there. He's wearing orange pants today that are bright orange, and yesterday's got a bunch of orange on it too. It's very ugly. It looks terrible. And it feels like Victor Hovland knows it looks terrible, but they pay him. But my thing is, like, there are plenty of clothing brands that will pay you to wear their stuff, and they'll take a little bit of input. If you watched Full Swing, the Netflix documentary, Colin Morikawa went to one of his, like, attire pick-out things, and he was like, yeah, I don't want to wear that, and he didn't. So, like, it would feel like if you're going to go out and be on national television and be, like, a global star in the world of golf, that, like, you have a little bit of input on what you wear, and if you think something's atrocious, you just wouldn't put it on. I struggle with that a little bit. I don't think Victor will be renewing his clothing contract when that's up, but, like, maybe something a little bit lesser. And Victor Hovland's made a ton of money as a young man. Like, maybe just take a little bit of a pay cut and wear something you actually like. It's an odd answer, but the clothes are bad every day. So they're bad again today.
All right, tonight is a must-win for the Celtics. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, they're only down 1-0. I know it's on their home floor, and I know if you go down 2-0 and then you go to Miami, you're in a world of hurt, but you theoretically could still get it done. So, no, it's not a must-win for the Celtics, but they really need to win it. And if they're going to win it, they probably need to guard Jimmy Butler. The guy's just – I mean, I heard someone refer to the Heat as Jimmy Butler and the walk-ons, and it kind of feels like that way. They don't have, like, anybody else that has any star power really whatsoever, and they continue to roll through these playoffs because Butler is incredible. He's hitting big shots. He's getting guys open. They play confident because of him, and Spoelstra's great. Spoelstra has got to be the most underrated coach in the league. I don't claim to be an NBA coach aficionado, but the consistency that organization has shown while they've transitioned through different superstars into a couple different eras, with Spoelstra being the constant, is unbelievable. He's fantastic. I do think the Celtics will win tonight. I don't think the Heat are going to get both games up in Boston, but I don't think it's a must-win. No, I'll leave that. Do we have another one, or is that it?
Those are the only two.
Those are the only two? All right,
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for a Friday edition. I want to remind you one more time about our friends over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They bring you all of our Friday shows, and we certainly appreciate them for doing that. I mentioned earlier that they think they invented a dish, the etouffee smothered pork chop. But I also mentioned they've got a grilled shrimp Caesar salad over there as well with those big, beautiful Gulf shrimp. They also fry up. They're really, really good. So you can eat a little lighter over at Cork's as well. Maybe get the kiddos something awesome like the fried shrimp and the fried catfish with those crispy shoestring fries. If you want to go a little lighter, they got a salad for you over there at Cork's. Their food is fantastic. I promise you, if you're one of the people who's like, I'm from South Louisiana, I'm not going through a drive-thru for fried seafood. Try it once. This is not your national fried seafood brand. This is a recipe born locally right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. Folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue have brought you this new concept, Corks, and it is fantastic. When you go through, whether it's a drive-through or if you go into their newly renovated dining room and you see Paul or Michael, tell them, hey, I heard about it on Hunt's show. They'll appreciate that. I've known those guys my entire life, and they've done such a great job with this new concept over there at Corks. It's on Government Street between Foster and Jefferson. They bring you the Friday shows. Corks, fishandshrimp.com is the website. All right, let's look back at what we did today, shall we? We opened things up. I gave you 30 minutes on what I thought from LSU's baseball game last night with Georgia. We had Buzzy Hideout on from Athens. I had a little story time with Buzz over there about some of my times with Athens, so you can catch that on demand from our 1:30 segment. At 2 o'clock, caught you up on what we saw in the SEC yesterday and what we're looking for moving forward. Gave you some teams to pull for and how they will impact LSU. Cool piece from The Athletic on questions for football coaches in the SEC they'd like to ask and get a truthful answer from. I gave you some of my thoughts on that. And then talked a little PGA Championship with Michael Block at even par, which is fantastic, at 2:30 before Take It or Leave It. So you can catch all that on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find it, of course, on YouTube. I want to remind y'all one more time, subscribe to our YouTube channels. We got Hunt on LSU as well as Hunt on Saints. All of our football content, whether it's LSU or Saints, goes straight to those two channels, and we'd appreciate if you give us a subscription there. We'll send the content right to you. All right, LSU's going to Athens. Got to get one more to become a national seed. On Monday's show, we'll get you set for the SEC tournament, and I'll tell you what I think about LSU's prospects as being a national seed. Can't wait for it. Have a great weekend. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further View from 3 to 6. Got some Riot Radio hours, I am sure. I'm done for the week. We'll see y'all Monday on the Hunt Palmer Show.